Hello and welcome to another edition of Gamereactor Live. I'm Lee West and I'm joined by Philip Lauritz Poulsen, and today we're going to take a look at Final Fantasy X-2, and that's the HD Remaster edition that's coming out this week on PS Vita and PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And as you might know or not know, it's the old role-playing game by Square Enix. And I think you played it about 10 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, I played it a lot when it came out on the PlayStation 2. I had a tough time with it though. My disc broke middle of the last boss fight, and it also corrupted my save. So I've actually played it through twice. Second disc also broke at the same point. That's why when I gave up on the game. So I've played it extensively, except I never actually completed the final boss fight of Final Fantasy X.
And this edition, of course, is basically it's Final Fantasy X, and then you've got, as you can see, Final Fantasy X Eternal Calm, and that's, as far as I remember, that's the one that's called Another Story, that sort of bridges the two different games, Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. And then you've got a bonus that's kind of an audiobook that lasts 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Telling what happened after. And well, shouldn't we just hit the start button?
Let's get started here then. So we're going to start out with Final Fantasy X. See if I can remember how this goes. It's been a while.
And of course, anyone wondering or not knowing Final Fantasy, all the numbers and stuff like that, the Final Fantasy X-2, it's basically because they take place in different universes, right?
Yeah, every numbered Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, they're all separate universes. They do have slight things that happen in both of them. They have some creatures that appear in both games. They have this one character, as far as I remember, who also appears in all games, who's kind of this mysterious character. But otherwise, it's all their own story. And when they want to continue that story, they add a
number to the number.
To it. Yeah. So Roman numerals is the universe, and the normal numbers are
the chapters.
The chapters in the. Okay, so we're getting a bit of a long load screen here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, things are starting to happen. And again, as mentioned in the review, the cutscenes are non-skippable. So we apologize for that, but we'll try and get into the gameplay as quickly as we can.
I'm not apologizing. it's what Final Fantasy is about.
That is true.
That, and of course those emotional fillers, you know, being orphans and trying to save the world.
Yeah,
as you might, you know, have been able to guess, I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan, but I like the art style and I love the music, and that's about what it does for me.
Here we go. This is my first actual look at the HD version since the original, and I can definitely tell there's been a lot done since the original. I mean, the textures are nice and clear.
For sure, yeah.
Nice and sharp.
Yeah, it seems like a quite solid release, and I'm quite sure we gave it a 7 or 8 or something like that in most Gamereactor countries when reviewing this remastered edition. So it seems to do a decent job of updating the game without having to completely rewrite the whole code again. And as always, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and again, you can definitely tell that this is a PS2 game in the way the characters are kind of made, but it's got kind of they look a bit plasticky, but still it kind of works. It has its own charm. I mean, not everything has to be hyper realistic.
Exactly. So how does this stand? I mean, how many of the other Final Fantasy games have you actually played?
I've played, the first one I got into was Final Fantasy VII, which I believe was a big kind of...
that was the one everybody bought because they just got the PlayStation and the CD and wow, look at this.
And it was a really good game. And then I got the PlayStation 2, and then all of the media hype started happening around Final Fantasy X, and I kind of had to get back into it, and that's actually the second Final Fantasy game that I decided to play, and again, as I mentioned, I had some bad luck doing it. And then finally, also I reviewed Final Fantasy 13-2
Oh yeah, yeah.
for Gamereactor, so I played Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2. 13.3 I haven't gotten into yet. I'm not sure if I'll have time to, because again, Final Fantasy games are quite an undertaking.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah, I've tried actually. I think it's Final Fantasy VII that came out on the Vita as a PS classic, isn't it?
Yeah, they re-released. Well, they just released the PlayStation.
I think that actually that fitted nice on the small screen instead. You know, I was able to sort of not being too hung up on the pixelated style. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're gonna go standard sphere grid here.
Yeah.
Not make it too tricky. Yeah, that's fine.
Can you explain a bit about the grid system?
That's pretty much the leveling system of how you unlock your skills. They tried a new thing here. Like it also Final Fantasy games, the separate games try different things. The combat's slightly different, the skill system's slightly different, and this one here they have this sphere system, which is pretty basic when you look at it actually. It's pretty easy to get into. It's kind of like instead of making the tree, they're making it circles that you kind of go into.
All right.
Okay, so you're spending a lot of time with this fire. But again, speaking of Final Fantasy VII, a lot of fans have definitely been surprised that it was, well, not completely surprised. Final Fantasy X is definitely one of the better ones in the series, but the fact that Final Fantasy VII is such a huge game for the series, the fact that they have not made a remake of that game surprises everyone, especially because they actually did a tech demo a few years ago showing the introduction scene using new graphics. So everybody was expecting it to happen, and it just hasn't happened yet, and they're being very, very stubborn about not releasing it in spite of the fans actually wanting it.
Do you have any idea why?
Not a clue. I think it's just gone down to stubbornness. I'm not sure that the that the creators were happy with the game themselves, and they kind of want to distance themselves a bit. But it's the mainstream is the most appealing game, so I guess that's why. They just don't want to get stuck in that one universe that's Final Fantasy VII. But we'll see. At some point, money will start having a say in it, because I think it will sell. If they re-released Final Fantasy VII on the PS4 and Xbox One in updated graphics, it would sell like crazy.
On the name alone, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody has kind of heard about that number, even if a lot of people say they like number 3 in the series better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Everybody knows Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't the best game in the series.
But they seem to have some very strong opinions, the developers. Also, the Final Fantasy 13 universe, which is going on right now, the main character, Lightning, they're very adamant about pushing this character, which is, when you listen to the community, seems to be one of the least popular main characters of the Final Fantasy. But the developers have gone out and said, well, we did a poll and she was the most popular one. So now we're just going to focus on her a lot. Oh. And now she's making an appearance in Final Fantasy 14, which is the online MMO game, because as far as I can understand, they've given her, as the one character in all the universes, the power to kind of move between universes. So she's probably going to start popping up in every Final Fantasy game from now on, which is not something that people are too happy about.
Oh. Okay. This is where it shows that it's an old game. I mean, there's different animations, stuff like that, but still, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, definitely the NPCs are look like they need a bit of an updating at least.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully we'll start getting into some gameplay soon. Here we go. Finally.
Also, if you're watching this, let's see, we've got quite a lot of viewers here, and I can see we've got a few from Sweden as well. And in case anyone is really into the music of Final Fantasy, in May in Denmark, and in Aarhus in Denmark, and in June in Stockholm in Sweden, they're having a Final Fantasy concert actually, and that should be pretty awesome. So you could book tickets for that if you're really into it and want to see it played live.
Can I have your autograph?
Okay, so here we are signing autographs. So basically the main character here is this kind of superstar in this sport that is in this universe. I don't really remember how what the name is.
I'll do this. That will mean it was for
Oh,
you.
the name of the sport.
Okay?
Yeah, the name of the sport. Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. We'll probably have it mentioned at some point here.
Walk in the front row. Fifth from the right.
Got it.
Dodgeball.
Okay, here we go.
Well, gotta go. Cheer for me.
2, 3. Teach us how to blitz.
I think it's called Blitzball.
Hey, I got a game to play.
Then teach us after.
Maybe tonight. Well,
You can't tonight.
Oh, I can see Indian Cobran has changed name to Indian Cop because the normal chat doesn't work for him. Well, too bad, Indian Cop. That's what you're being called now. Long intro, but beautiful indeed. New font? Not sure. Just make Final Fantasy VII to the level of PS2 graphics and I'll be very happy. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people
Yeah,
that
that's
would
all
be,
people want.
actually, yeah.
Just a bit of improvement. And again, one of the reasons why Final Fantasy VII, I believe, was also so popular was because it kind of had this sci-fi universe to it, kind of like we're seeing here as well with this big city and so on. But
I was just saying, Alex2 Live is saying, Adu, you can get Final Fantasy VII on Steam, then mod it. That's an
always-
option, of course.
that's always a possibility for the PC gamers out there. That's where they have the advantage when it comes to modding and such.
Oh, Mortality is actually going to that Final Fantasy concert in June. Cool.
Our hero, jacked, gone, vanished into
It's odd locations for it. I was
And Adu is saying Blitzball.
yeah,
So that might be.
yeah, exactly. I just realized also before somebody was asking me to blitz.
Zanara, I says to myself, what are you thinking? I went running straight back home. We sat up talking about Jack all night. My dad.
So, does any of our viewers, well, I'm just going to count on you chatting here. Any of you guys got a PS Vita and considering the game on that one?
Yeah, because it has been released on the Vita as well, and it
Exactly.
also seems like a pretty good.
I think that's a good fit for a game like this. I mean, even though I actually think they did a quite good job on this
Yeah.
HD remaster. I mean, there's nothing. It doesn't look fussy or anything like that.
No, not at all. It looks really
actually-
sharp. And I guess, well, the
Quite
Vita,
nice.
the Vita can be tough in the beginning due to all the cutscenes and stuff. It's not something you can really pull out on the bus and play because you might
That's
get
true.
stuck with a cutscene the whole bus ride. But as soon as the game starts up, then it's the perfect kind of jump in, fight some enemies.
But then again, I mean, sometimes you just want a portable experience that is deep and you actually can spend hours on as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good fit. But anyways, I think the PS Vita has got tons of good role-playing games actually.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, so. There are a lot of load screens, though, I'll say.
make
I
way.
think this one wasn't so bad.
Coming through. Sorry.
And to anyone watching, we are going to pick some random and not so random winners that will get. We've actually got the game on PS Vita, and we've got the game on PS3. And let's see, we've got an art book.
Yeah. So.
And we're just going to pick some random winners during the live stream.
Sure. Okay, so here we go. This was kind of the cutscene that was used to sell the game a lot as well. This here, back in the PS2 days. Where we're gonna start getting into the
It does
sport.
look a bit though like, see, yeah. I was going to say it looked a bit squashed just before, like they've taken the 4.3 and sort of squashed it to
I believe that was
69.
mentioned in the review
But
as well.
yeah, but I don't think it does right here.
No.
I mean,
That looks okay here.
yeah.
But again, you can actually almost tell that the this cutscene here graphically is almost a bit less impressive than the other. Like, I mean, on
That's
current
true.
gen graphics, they would be able to pull this off in engine and probably make it
That's
better.
true. Yeah,
So it shows its age here a bit.
it does.
So it's very much a
But
contact
still, I mean,
sport.
for a 10-year-old game, it is still pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to expect more from a game as old as this.
And this is Blitzball.
Yeah. A game that you will actually be able to play at some point. We'll probably not get to that point here during our playthrough, but along the game you'll actually get to...
I think we're going to play about an hour of this and then an hour of X2 as well.
yeah, that
Shouldn't
sounds
we?
like a good idea. Just get an impression of both of the games. So, a big blob of water is attacking the city.
Oh no. Biohazard 83 is saying getting it for the PS3, maybe later for Vita. Really think they should have made it cross-buy.
Yeah,
I totally agree on that.
Yeah, because there is cross-save, so you can play it on your PS3, and then when you have to get on the bus or if you have to go on vacation, you can just plop it over on the PS Vita. But
Actually, I think we are going to, whenever if you win a game or the art book or anything like that during this live stream, please stay in the chat because our GRTV crew will contact you and get all the necessary stuff for us to send it out. But I think, who was this? Let's see. Lasse, are you taking note of Biohazard 83? Since you're getting it on PS3, we're going to give you the Vita version so you don't have to, you know, be too annoyed with it not being a cross-buy. So you're getting this, and congrats.
yeah, congratulations. So yeah, just stay on. I guess keep an eye open for a personal message from our crew, and
Yeah.
we'll figure out contact
Exactly.
information. So it can be that easy winning
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Just
that's.
complain, and then good things will happen.
And now we're getting a chat full of people going like, "Oh, I have no money, and this sucks," and
But how are we looking at how is the pricing on the game? Is it the full retail price? Do we know, or is it a?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
That was one of the things actually I was going to check up before
But-
this, but
Yeah,
I
it's probably-
completely forgot.
Hey, not this
It's
one.
probably on par with other HD releases, so it's probably like a lower than a new AAA title. But
Maybe if any of you guys in the chat have bought the game, pre-ordered the game, you can tell us how much you paid for it.
We called it sin.
Sin?
I didn't understand Blitzball back in 2002. I was so young.
oh, actually, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was actually one of the funner things. I just got stuck playing the sport kind of over and over.
Yeah.
Just enjoying myself with it. They could almost like release that as a standalone, just mini.
That
game.
could be something for the mobile division.
Yeah.
I mean, they are doing, actually I think Chaos Wings.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've actually tried that on, I think
I
it's out
haven't,
on
no.
both Android and iOS, and I think that's an awesome turn-based RPG.
Okay, so here I believe we're gonna get our first taste of combat.
By the power of Grayskull. Do, 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 do.
A gift from Jack.
My old man.
And yeah, it's a great idea to give the
Tired
kid a sword that's too heavy for him to actually carry. That's gonna work out well.
I hope you know how to use it.
Okay, so here we go. This is how combat works. Let me see if I can get into it.
These ones don't matter. We cut through.
Okay, so I have two options here. I can pull off an attack, and you choose your target. So it's very much like the familiar. I can even attack my own team. So we're gonna attack this one in the front. Bang. Oh, and they move forward. Okay, this is because of the cutscene going on.
Ah, okay.
And I also have a skill move here. I can do a power break.
And that depletes your mana points, or?
Let's try and see what happens here. If I can remember. No, they look like that. There was an
Yeah,
item.
yeah. I won't just spend 8 points on that.
Okay. Yeah, okay, because obviously we also...
Yeah, okay. It seems like it's let's see. $45 US or 300 Swedish kroners, and that's in Danish. That's about 250 kroners or something. So it seems to be pretty cheap. It's about half price of a full price game.
Full
I think.
retail, yeah. And I assume that it will come out as a downloadable.
But
title.
that's a pretty good price. I mean, after all, you're getting 2 games, and you're getting the prologue, you're getting the epilogue.
And they're long games, lots of content.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of Final Fantasy in any way, all right. So they're easing us in very much into the combat here.
Do you remember, did they do a huge departure from the mechanics in this game to X2 or?
I actually never got to try 10.2, so that will be something we have to check out. Because again, having not finished 10, I wanted to finish that before getting started on 10.2.
Of course, yeah.
And then, you know, other games come out and it just kind of gets pushed. So this is also why this game is possibly something I might want to invest in at some point, just to kind of get it done and cross it off my list of games that I've played.
Yeah.
Because 10.2 definitely was also, back when it came out, a huge success, it seemed.
Out of my town. Some can't wait to die.
And they like to do their little one-liners here. All right, overdrives. When a character's overdrive gauge beneath the HP MP displays full, that character may use a special unique attack. Once.
All right.
Okay, so I can press left here, and I have an overdrive move. That's pretty much it. Their special moves. Let's pull this off. Dragon Fang, and that
Attacks all
targets
5 of them.
Yeah. And then there's a button on.
Oh, so that's almost a Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
game.
Okay, and there's no overdrive here, so you can just do this regularly. Again, I'm not sure every character has that kind of move. I think it varies from character to character what kind of reaction you have to have.
I think that was pretty cool. I mean, sort of for a turn-based game to actually have something that requires a bit more.
I think it was an
and
attempt with this game
reflexes.
to kind of make it more interactive when it came to combat, not just press attack and sit back and watch. And also the later games, obviously 13.2 or 13.3 that came out also has a much more action-based combat system. And I believe 13 also had kind of, right now we can just sit back, take our time and decide. Some of the later ones have actually a time limit.
Okay.
So you have to think faster. Okay, so Titus has his overdrive ready now, it looks like. That's called sword play, spiral cut.
What do you think? Someone here is saying, how does the combat system work? Is it perceived anno 2014? I mean, we've only just played it briefly here, but to me it seems to be...
The graphics were talking about?
No, the combat system.
Oh, the combat system. Well, I mean, it's very much...
Does it feel too simplistic? I mean, if we compare to games of...
It's a very tried and true system, and we still see games come out today with this system. Again, South Park, the Stick of Truth. This is the same basic mechanics that works in that game. Choose an item.
So basically, if you like the fighting mechanics in South Park, you might actually enjoy it.
This is actually like a genre on its own, having these fighting mechanics, and it's much more tactical. Which enemy do you attack first with what? It's kind of like resource management. It's almost like a game of chess more than it is an action game. And we just noticed before as well, Titus's overdrive here was different. I had to actually match up this arrow going back and forth. I had to hit the center, which I didn't do too well, but it just shows their difference.
So once again, some of the action.
Yeah, again, more reaction-based combat. Oh, and we've got a save point here, I believe. Traveler Sphere. Let's just do a quick save because I'm not sure.
So actually, it seems like I mean, we've played for about 20 minutes or something like that, and so it seems to be, if they keep it up like this, well fitted for on-the-go gaming as well. I mean, this is just a bus ride or train ride or something like that. So it might be a good fit for PS Vita. But you mentioned that as well with the fights.
Or again, at least if you have both copies, get this kind of introductory stuff out of the way, and then continue on when the game starts, and you actually just went around, talk to one guy, and then move along. And
also, as far as I know, this remastered edition has got selectable bosses.
Yeah, optional bosses. Because I guess it's because some people were not too happy with some of the boss fights in the original release, and there were some of them that were extremely tough. So I guess they're giving you the option to kind of skip those. I don't know what the drawback of doing it. You might lose out on the potential item that they drop or something like that. But yeah, I do remember being stuck for a long time, fighting the same boss over and over, and that can be frustrating.
I actually do think that this would make a good fit for the PS Vita. Also because, I mean, it's super sharp, and if you put it on a smaller screen, it will actually look as quite detailed and like a good mobile game.
And again, combat-wise, it's perfect for mobile gaming because it's turn-based. You can take your time. Somebody asks you a question, you don't have to press pause or anything.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good thing about turn-based gaming.
Yeah, exactly. It works so well for.
Trust me, you'll see.
All right, so what are we doing now? Oh yeah, we're attacking this little generator over here.
Never got to play X2, only X, so no spoilers. Well,
X2
we'll
spoilers.
Try not to, since you haven't played it and I haven't either. So
it won't be too hard not to spoil that game. Yeah,
Miklan, don't worry.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah, someone is asking, well, we're just talking out general about what we're going to stream. But yeah, Infamous is Thursday. I'm going to play that together with Magnus. Infamous Second Son, of course, on the PS4. So if you're hooked on that game, that will be Thursday. You can actually watch 2 hours of that.
Okay, these things are starting to annoy me because they're charging up some attacks here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and take them out again.
And you guys going to play and give away Rambo the video game? I'm actually tempted. That was one of the games that we gave, I think, in the whole network. Well, we actually punished one guy and he got to play it, and we all translated that review. But he gave it a 1 out of 10.
Impressive.
And said he was kind of hoping it was a joke in the beginning because everything was so poorly done, and they actually even had like whole stages only consisting of quick time events and stuff like that, and it felt like, you know, a light gun game without the light gun.
Yeah.
You could probably use the move controller for that, but well, he wasn't too happy about the game. Let's just say
Understandably so, yeah.
So Branko, no, I don't think we're going to play Rambo the video game. Though it could be fun. I'm tempted now. I'm actually tempted.
We'll see. We'll have to talk about it, yeah.
But yeah, we're going for, as I can see, Tuesday is MOBA time, and that's, of course, we're going to take a look. I think League of Legends, maybe Infinity Crisis, and there's another game that was just released, new MOBA, and I keep forgetting the title. Do you remember, Doi? The new MOBA game just released? No. Okay. Well, that will be a surprise, and that's Wednesday.
I remember it. I just can't remember the title.
Oh, that's Tuesday actually, and Wednesday is GTA 5 online, where you can join us and play as well. Thursday, Infamous Second Son, and then of course we've got ER Friday nights. And if anyone is, you know, sort of hoping for us to get into playing on PC soon in Friday nights, that is in the plans as well.
Excellent. Okay, so everything just went to hell. And now
Old man?
Now he is floating.
we're swimming around. I guess inside this huge orb of water. We can go down. I don't have control of the camera here, so I guess we're just gonna go down. Oh, we've got our friend over here, Oren.
Titus has a silly voice at some points. Didn't remember that part of the game. Yeah, I could imagine.
I thought about a lot of things. Like where I was, what I got myself into. I started to feel lightheaded, and then sleepy.
Epic
I think
Auron
I
moment
had
approaching. All on moments are
Being
epic.
alone. I wanted someone, anyone, beside me, so I didn't have to feel alone anymore.
Okay, Alex to Life is actually, well, we're back to talking about Rambo again. He's writing, there's a perk in the Rambo game that lets you win all QuickTime events automatically. So the levels that only consist of QuickTime events are just a long scene.
Oh no.
Awesome. Friday nights aren't, no, they aren't always Call of Duty, but at the moment they are. Of course, we are leading up to the World Championship and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I thought you were gonna say GR Friday nights are happening always on Fridays.
That's, yeah.
Okay, so now we're here in these ruins, and we're gonna start with a bit of gameplay again. I think this is kind of the point where I start being able to do things on my own.
Someone is saying, let's see, how much is Final Fantasy X-2 HD Remaster going to take up in space on the PS Vita? As far as I can see here, it's a 3.5 gigabyte of memory card space if you're going to download the game for the PS Vita.
All right.
Yeah, someone is saying, I think the game has all the bosses from the international version. That's true, and that's the typical, the deluxe editions or whatever we could call them that Square Enix, funnily enough, release in Japan.
Japan only,
and they're
yeah.
called international versions. But yeah.
Just override the old save here. Not much has happened. There. Okay, and as you can tell from the mini map, it's pretty linear where we're able to go, and you can't actually fall off here.
Ah, okay.
So this is very typical Final Fantasy.
Yeah, this looks a lot like, actually like the later efforts like Chaos Wings also on the mobiles, where you've
Yeah.
basically got these small areas, but you can't really do much. But
No, you just got one way to go.
does it have random battles? I just want to remember
Yes, it
that.
does.
Okay. That's one thing I've never been too fond
No,
of.
it can be
in any of
frustrating
these.
when you're just trying to go through the same area again and you just keep being stopped by, especially if the battle isn't even hard. It just takes up time. You just slash everything, boom, move on. But again, you'll see here in the beginning, there is a lot of move 1 meter to your right, another cutscene goes off, you get to move across a platform, another cutscene. So.
And Enham is asking if we know if the touchpad pad on the back of the Vita is used for anything. We don't know. We didn't review the game actually, and I haven't played it on the Vita yet, so no idea.
But I mean, I don't know what it would be used for in that case. I mean, this is not a very
Could be
control-heavy.
picking out the enemies, you know, touching where they are on screen. But
I don't know, yeah,
mean,
because arrow up and down seems to work fine.
It would be too much work for nothing, I think.
Yeah. Especially, I don't think it would bring anything really interesting to the gameplay. I don't really see.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, that doesn't stop developers from adding it.
That is
I mean,
true. It does seem sometimes that Sony kind of pushes the developers to use some of those features.
Exactly.
So here we go. First boss fight of the game.
Prompts. That's me making sound effects because we've got no sound in here.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm guessing he burped.
whoa. Okay, so here we go. I actually
go.
think I remember dying the first time I fought this guy when the game first released.
Oh.
Yeah, see, he hurts. I have 246 health points, and I don't have much I can do except like smack him for 30 every once in a while.
Got no potions, nothing.
I do have some items, so but I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I have some potions here.
Ah, okay.
But I'm gonna
So
save
you're
those
down
until
to
I start.
123. So let's see.
And again, you'll notice I don't actually see any kind of health bar on the enemy, so I'm doing 31 damage, but I don't know exactly what that does in the.
Exactly. That's one thing I'm actually not too fond of.
But
I
later
like my
on-
boss fights when I can count down and see. Okay, I was like this close.
Yeah.
I mean, not
But as the game progresses, I do believe you'll learn a skill where you can scan the enemy and get some
Oh.
info on them, like what are their weaknesses.
So you've got an idea also about how many hit points they have.
Hit
or-
points and what their weaknesses are,
Okay,
and
cool.
like is it fire, is it ice? But you spend a turn using it, so it's kind of like one of those.
alright,
You want to pull
okay.
it off at the beginning of the match.
Exactly. Swim! Swim, goddammit! And
Meet it. Then I might not have died the first time I played this. That would have been hard, seeing as a cutscene saves you. But I do believe we'll see it again. That might have been where it went wrong for me.
I had made it out of the frying pan and into the freezer. I thought I was gonna die in this place.
Okay, these stairs can be a bit tricky to navigate. Made it.
that's one place where you've gotten so used to Assassin's Creed and Uncharted
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that. It's like, why can't he do this? I mean, there was only one stair that was in the way, you know,
Yeah.
one step. We're getting lazy as gamers. We really are. Again, I really like this HD update. Even though you've got something like you can see the fog over there.
Yeah, the
and stuff
fog
like
isn't
that,
completely,
it's
but I mean,
not super duper, but it does the trick, I think. But also because the style is gorgeous anyways. I mean, it's a bit like playing, well, not that I'm going to compare these two, but World of Warcraft. I mean, it's blocky, it doesn't look amazing, but the design is so clever and it's so consistent
yeah.
that you actually get drawn into it, even though it's blocky and pixelated at times.
Exactly. All right, so I found the first item that I need to start the fire.
And you got a map.
I'm not really. No, see, I can't really go much.
No exploration.
No, not.
Oh.
It's not really a huge exploration game. The Final
No, no.
Fantasy games are pretty much just all about.
Save point.
Let's do that quickly then, just in case. Oh, let's just overwrite. But again, these kind of areas where there's a lot of rubble going on and everything, it's also nice to have the mini map because it gives you a very clear, like I have a door here, but it doesn't have a green square, so I know, okay, that's not
Yeah, yeah.
interesting at this point. There's not a lot of kind of trying to figure stuff out.
No, that's good. I do think so. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, especially
hate
when you
going
don't
up to
have-
locked doors and
When you have a
just,
locked
you know,
camera angle as well, you can kind of feel like, oh, I'm missing something behind me, but when you can check it on the mini map and just kind of notice.
The only game that I actually thought I was okay in was Outlast. I played it last night, and that whole, I was almost happy at times that I couldn't open the doors.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
scary.
really when you can. Also, Silent Hill, I love that too, because on the map it gave you those satisfying little X's over the doors. So slowly you could just kind of see that you're clearing the area. Yeah, see here again, I would have thought that I couldn't get any further here if I didn't have the mini map showing me a dark blue path around it.
Yeah.
We found a chest.
I don't think all the old music in the game has been replaced. I think it was just some of it,
Yeah.
and that has been changed a bit.
Okay, so I should be able to start a fire now. Not the trickiest puzzles.
Mortality has played through Final Fantasy X about 30 times. That's dedicated.
Especially considering the variations aren't that numerous.
Exactly.
Alright, we
Dali USSR is running. I have a friend who has a save with 200 plus hours.
Well, it's funny, you don't see that much nowadays, but those older PlayStation 2 games around that time, like there were some people out there that really spent a lot of time playing those games,
There were,
especially these JRPGs.
I think the only game that didn't take that long that I spent weeks on was actually Crackdown on Xbox 360. That took like, I think the story was like 5 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I spent 3 weeks trying to find those goddamn last orbs in the game. I was literally just sometimes sitting on top of a taxi shooting the gun, and then he got scared and would drive me around, and I would just sit there for hours listening to see if I could hear that sound of the orbs. I got all 800.
Ah, impressive.
Took me, I think, 2 weeks for the last orb or something. That was so ridiculous.
Yeah, those collections can be quite time
But
consuming. I also
that's
remember in
something I
Infamous.
love. I mean,
Yeah.
and the same with this one. If I can just keep leveling up my char, I would probably play it forever, because if I enjoy the gameplay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just give me any excuse to go back to a game I enjoy.
Wait! Don't go out on me! Just hold on. I'll get more wood.
I'll get more wood in my new fancy clothes.
So here we go. Another fight.
Give me a break!
So we're still just down to our basic attacks. 137. Ooh, 105. Yeah, he hurts. Just gonna keep going. Oh, I just got an extra turn there.
And he missed. Sucker! And yes, Branko, I got scared and Outlast. Yes.
I think everyone does.
Yeah. Has some good jump scares in that game.
Really does, yeah. It's very stressful because there's so many jump scares. You're always kind of expecting them or trying to. I mean, I can only play it for like a half hour at a time. I need a break. I need to just calm down because your adrenaline's just pumping so much. It's every single door, you're just expecting something, and more often than not, there is something that scares you. Okay,
These
so
look,
you-
I mean, the faces in these look oddly cardboard-ish.
Yeah. At least the guys in the back. The one in the front is one of the more main characters. So
Yeah. They redid her or him.
yeah, so the main characters are definitely redone. But again, that was the same issue in the old. So she has grenades. So we unlock the special here. Say steal, we can say use. So let's try and use a grenade here. Boom. That was a nice attack there.
A username Don is writing. I remember sitting down with a friend getting ready to play this game back when it came out. I just moved into a new apartment and we thought we had it all lined up, but of course I happened to have misplaced the remote for my TV. We were so frustrated, really wanting to play the game, ending up having it putting the AV signal through my old VHS machine, having to live with a hard-coded time code in the lower part of the screen. That sucks.
It's impressive, yeah. That something as simple as a remote, losing that can really like. That's one of my main things whenever I buy TVs, making sure that you actually have full navigational control on the TV screen if something should happen to the remote. You run out of battery or something.
Mr. Sweden 90 played 150 plus hours on this one.
So it's a popular game for sure. And I mean, I also think it's.
Newburn is asking. I'm just going to.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think of the new soundtrack when compared with the old one? I'm sorry, we can't really say because we've got no sound in the studio. So I can't say much about that.
No. I mean, we've got some sounds coming through. It's pretty low though, so it might be. But I mean, our reviewers seem to be pretty happy with how the sound worked out.
I can't actually remember what he said about it, but
No.
But it was just a kind of a rejazzed version, wasn't it? I mean, they just changed a bit of the score as far as I know, but
Yeah,
it might be the same actually. The two concerts I know they're actually they've actually changed bits and pieces and made new arrangement on some of the music.
So I'm just interrupting you. They have a pretty cool system in this game as well. You'll see kind of this gibberish at the bottom, but every once in a while a name will come up in red, or a word will come up in red that you understand, which means you'll actually learn this language as you go on through the game.
Oh, that's clever.
So you can actually learn more and more words and try and kind of figure out what they're speaking.
That's clever.
Because also you'll find books, I believe, and so on, like texts written. So the more you know of the language, the more the text you can decipher. And it kind of feels a bit like the starting scenes of The Last Warrior. I don't remember if you've seen that. The Viking movie with Antonio Banderas, where he comes in as an Arabian fighter, and
I can't remember it anymore.
No, well, they sit around the fire, they're speaking this gibberish, but every once in a while an English word will pop in, kind of symbolizing how he's starting to understand how the words. Oh, The 13th Warrior, that was the name of the movie, not The Last Warrior.
Kid,
Hey, that hurts.
Adu says, I played Final Fantasy 13 for 215 hours, never completed it. I remember the hour counter actually turned red. And Alex Live is writing, you killed the hour counter. Griff Tannen is saying, and the award for weirdest combat stance goes to Rico.
He's being a bit repetitive there in the sound department.
Fed! You said you can stay if you make yourself useful.
You understand me?
On another topic here, Branko is saying, speaking of playtime, Watch Dogs is rumored to be 100 hours long. Yeah, we had a news piece today with side missions, etc. I think it's just bullshit PR talk trying to save the game and get people interested in it again. Well, I'm definitely interested in Watch Dogs, and I do think, I mean, some of these comments like, oh wow, the E3 demo was so good, and then they're spreading these GIFs, you know, with a comparison between the old and new game. Come on, the first one was probably also some rendered stuff, or the PC game, and the recent one was the PS4 game. Of course, it's going to be downgraded a bit, but I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. It looks good, and it does look good. It might not look crazy amazing, but what matters is that I think the gameplay actually looks pretty amazing, and I think the whole way you can control the city and stuff like that. That's what makes me want to play it, not some you know,
Yeah.
Pretty Wayne or something like that.
No, but also I'm thinking Watch Dogs is getting a lot of unjust criticism at the moment. I think it's just because people got annoyed with it being delayed the way it was.
But also, I think it's an internet thing. People
Yeah.
like to decide on something they hate, and then they
Yeah,
just
and
go
it's gotta-
full, full speed.
Here we also go,
Okay.
this is how it works, where I find these books, and now I know that Ys are actually As, and it's going to start reflecting in the subtitles as well.
Ah, clever.
So yeah, find Albed Primer to help you decipher the strange Albed language. And there's a trophy, another new addition for fans of the game.
So
It's a good
fans
way-
of those things
Yeah.
will be happy now. That's Nick and Magnus from here.
I mean, I enjoy a trophy popping up once in a while. It's not something I go for personally,
Oh, almost forgot.
but whenever it happens, it's nice. Also, I kind of feel like, okay, now my friends and my friends can actually see I've done this. It's kind of shows how I played
But that's
the
the
game.
whole point in so many MMOs as well. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't care if I got a mighty sword of plus 300 agility, unless I can show it to someone or they can inspect me.
And
you
that's
know.
why kind of
That's like-
the Fallout games people so want, and also this. I think that's why we're seeing Elder Scrolls Online. Those games have been single player. People just are so used to being able to show off their gear.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh,
this
that's
is the sphere
the
grid.
sphere grid. Okay.
Okay, so it's accessible from the main menu, and this is how the leveling kind of works. So you move around with the cursor, and it's kind of defense upgrades and offensive upgrades and abilities.
Some clever guy is writing
Okay, so whoever knows the Albed Primer deciphering.
We don't know the language yet.
We know Ys or As, so you can get on that.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Okay, so we need to activate nodes. Yeah, it all makes sense once you get into it here. So
Yes, now Biohazard is writing. They say Watchdog, back to that, is 14 hours for the average gamers and 100 hours for full completion. That sounds like a hell of a lot of game time to me. But
yeah. So the number of steps a character can move is equivalent to his S level, sphere level, so basically his level. Ability points, which are obtained by participating battles. Yeah, so leveling up. Characters must fight in battles, gain AP, which are in turn used to move around the grid. In short, if characters do not participate in battles, they will not grow stronger. All makes sense. I have 4 levels, so you can move up to 4 steps. Yeah, you don't want to move too fast, because you don't want to pass nodes, because you have to spend moves to move back as well.
oh,
Let's take 1 step and learn the ability cheer. Note that you do not have
to be at a node to activate it, you can do it from an.
adjacent
Okay.
node as well. Okay. So by selecting this destination, and it asks if I want to move to this location.
Oh, they're still talking about Watch Dogs, I can see here. Don't get me wrong, I'll be more than thrilled if Watch Dogs really is 100 hours long. The longer game, the better. And that's where I'm going to stop. I mean, the longer game, the better? No.
Not
I mean,
necessarily.
I don't want to see anything dragged out or having to go from A to B and B to A again and again and again just to make a long game. I'd rather, actually, I enjoyed some of the, and yeah, you can hate on me now, but like the Call of Duty campaigns, where it's just sort of a short roller coaster, and you know you've got hundreds of hours in the multiplayer if you want that. Sure, I like something to keep me coming back to the game, but I definitely don't mind if the game is packed.
Yeah.
And got good pacing instead of being dragged out, you know. And I
Yes,
think we're
short
going
and
to see
sweet
a
is
lot of
sometimes
critique
better
on what is the Metal Gear Solid, the new game that is supposedly about 2 hours long, and I mean, so what?
Yeah. I mean, my only issue
Journey,
with the
no one hated Journey for being 1 hour,
no.
so.
But again, I think my reaction to Metal Gear Solid being so short was the pricing. It was way off in the beginning. It was full retail price.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, but now it's like
They've
half,
lowered it, so
isn't
now I'm fine. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
down to kind of a proper. And again, the 2 hour mark. I mean, there's been an article on the site about it. if you finish the game in the 2 hours, when you look at the percentage, you've completed
Yeah.
9%
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
game. So to anybody who's played Peace Walker, they'll know exactly what this means. It's kind of like, it's a game that you go back to and kind of, it's a completionist kind of game.
You get to know the level and the area, and then
Yeah,
you
it's
can
all about
return to
building
it.
up an army and coming back and
Exactly.
doing this kind of stuff. And I believe that the stuff that you do in this game will carry over to the real sequel. So it's all about, yeah, spending time now building up a strong army so you can bring it with you when the main game launches later on.
Now everyone watching this stream to see something about Final Fantasy is just sitting there. Why isn't there a fast forward button? Get on with it, guys. Okay, we saw you. We're
Okay,
getting
well,
on with it now.
Okay, so we're just being kind of introduced here to the system, and I can explain it probably faster as we go along. So I've unlocked the cheer ability.
I think we're going to stay only about 5 minutes, 10 minutes more on this game, and then we're going to jump into 10-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you can kind of tell there's quite a bit of abilities to get into. Okay, so what do I do from here? I don't know.
I think. Do we have Lasse sitting over there?
There should still be some
I think we're going. Well, before we're going to skip to the next game, we're just going to show like 5 minutes. Take a quick break. Show 5 minutes of
Of
that
the prequel movie.
Yeah, the prequel movie, so people can get to hear the sound and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. So let's just quickly see if I can get to use my new ability, and then I think that will be a good point to switch over. Okay, so I can dive here. So here's a bit more open world, but you can still tell from the mini map that it is kind of
Kind of linear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you can tell it's an old game with all these kind of load times. I move a little bit, next load. They could have probably done,
They could have fixed that.
but again, it's then they would have to redesign the whole area to kind of encompass all of it.
probably, yeah.
So it might have been more work than they were ready to put into it for a remake. I mean, they've been busy. There were Final Fantasy 13-3 coming out, and this, and also their online they have to take care of. So
Yeah, it just had a huge update.
yeah.
Oh well, a huge update announced in ways.
Overkill, yeah, that's also a possibility where you actually do extra damage. It's like a critical hit. Well, actually, no, I believe actually overkill is when you kill the character, you get above points of what it took, kind of. So we're getting some power and mana spheres here that are need to level up. Let's just move on. I forgot to use my cheer ability, but I'm pretty sure we'll have plenty of opportunity to do that in the upcoming area.
We got Branko on Better Thoughts. He says, sometimes that concept doesn't fit in every game. Short and sweet is better sometimes. That's good. Good boy.
But again, those numbers as well, how long game takes, it's very subjective, I find.
Definitely.
It really depends
I
on the
think
player.
we're often talking about that as reviewers as well. Whenever, saying, hey, this game took me 8 hours, and people are going like, well, I've seen someone complete it in 5 hours, you jerk, you're lying.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it took me 8 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't watching, maybe I was standing, still and watching some of the stuff once in a while. I do that a lot in games, and I've gotten used to basically, whenever I say a game lasts 8 hours, people have completed it in 6 or 7. So,
Yeah. Again,
so it's definitely subjective.
yeah, and sometimes like it's not about the time it takes, it's really about, the content, the ride that you're on during that time.
But if you want bang for your buck, you're getting it in this one. I mean, time-wise.
Oh yeah, really, there's a lot of hours to be spent on this. Use a grenade here on these guys.
But I
Overkill.
definitely still think this is one game I would enjoy in the PS Vita instead of actually a full-blown TV set.
Yeah.
I think it fits nicely.
Okay.
Mattel is saying they're really good at holding their breath. Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of In this universe, breathing underwater is not a problem. I mean, the blitzball sport happens in a big ball of water, so...
It's like in the other guys, where Will Ferrell is discussing with Mark Wahlberg, that they have, you know, constructed this apparatus, breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
They're talking about him being a lion and eating I think it's the tuna, and he's getting back to him.
We'll go as soon as you're ready.
Okay, so what happened? Oh, I might have made a mistake and returned to the ship when I wasn't done. Just seemed like I was done.
Isn't this
Is it
time to watch the
change up?
cutscene?
Yeah.
And
All right, well, let's see.
just
if we
going
can-
to skip, end Final Fantasy X. Take a look at the prequel to X-2. It's just we're going to turn up the sound and let you
Yeah, we're
watch
gonna
it, so
shut up
you
for it,
can
so-
get a feeling of how it actually looks and sounds, and if there's any changes in the music as well.
Yeah.
And you're getting to watch about 5 minutes of that, and then we'll be back again.
It looks like I may have to quit the game to switch over. So that's kind of annoying when they do that, when they kind of add.
Strange. Yeah,
But there was no option to change.
yeah, but it's again probably took too long to
Yeah.
actually program that part.
It seems like some of the things
Probably
they've kind of.
in encased, you know, separate versions on the same disc, basically.
Yeah.
Gone Home is only 2 hours, and that's the perfect length of a game, yeah.
And again, the South Park game is not. It's kind of JRPG.
Oh, start
stuff.
select and all triggers, and you reset the game.
Start selecting all the triggers. Okay.
So now we know that.
for.
Lasse, we're going to take 5 minutes of Final Fantasy X Eternal Calm, and that's the thing called Another Story as well. And we'll be back in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So enjoy.
$37, $38, $39, $40, $41. 2 minutes, 41 seconds. My longest yet.
Yuna, it's time!
Coming!
You're diving like a real pro, yeah?
You'll always be the pro, Waka.
I don't know. It's been so long since I trained.
You have gotten a little chubby.
Oh, no.
And you're not even the one having the baby.
Oh.
It's been 2 years. I've learned how to hold my breath for more than 2 minutes now. It takes more than physical strength, and there are some tricks you can't be taught. It took practice, lots and lots of practice. I just had to keep trying until I figured it out for myself. And you know what? Back then, I didn't think there were any tricks to it at all. I didn't have time to think. An eternal calm. A slightly chubby Waka. And my 2 minutes 41 seconds. It's not much, but it's enough.
Lady Una, it is a pleasure to meet you. I heard your speech 2 years ago in the stadium, but seeing you this close, you look so much more... I mean, you are truly beautiful.
That's very kind of you to say.
The reason I've come here today is to talk to you about my grandson. He's joined the youth league, you see. I've nothing against the league, mind you. It's just me and the missus belong to New Yevon. My grandson used to attend all the party meetings with his parents, of course. That is, until one day. I'm sure being around people his own age can't be bad for the boy. Still, I am worried about him. I feel, oh, how shall I say this? Like our grandchildren are moving too quickly.
In the last 2 years, new groups have been springing up all over. Everyone wants to be part of a new age. Everyone wants to build a new age. Everyone wants to build a new Spira. And they're all racing to find their own way to do it.
I only want what's best for him. But it troubles me when we agree on so little.
People have different ideas, and sometimes they disagree on the right thing to do. Some people worry about what the new age will bring. Sometimes I worry too. I just have to tell myself that for now, I'm doing the right thing. I understand how you feel. But Tastio, maybe you should try talking to your grandson first. He may walk a different path, but I'm sure he wants the same for Spira, as we all do.
And that was it. I mean, that's as far as we're going to show from this another story, or what was called Eternal Calm, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is basically a little video that leads up to what happens between 10 and 10.2, so you're ready for the 10.2.
And if you just joined now, it's Gamereactor Live. I'm Lee West, and this is Philip Lauritz Poulsen. And we are taking a look at the remastered HD edition of Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. And you basically get you get the original game. You get some extra choices regarding bosses. You're getting a 30-minute audiobook. That is sort of what happened after X-2. And you're getting, of course, this. We just watched 5 minutes of this, and that's sort of the binding between Final Fantasy X and X-2. But we're going to take a look at Final Fantasy X-2 now.
X-2 now, which is the first for the both of us, so this is going to be interesting.
I'm going to take a look at the chat. Well, someone asked, I think, about the art book. And I think if we can get a close-up of me, this is the art book. And we are giving that away as well as some of the games. I think we said we're going to pick some random winners. We've already given away the PS Vita game. But I think actually the first one who writes, I want the book in the chat, gets the book. So that's pretty easy, isn't it? So let's see.
And of course, stay in the chat if you win, so that we can get a hold of you. Check your personal messages in there, because then we'll get in touch with you that way.
So if you want the book, right, I want the book, and the first one to do that gets the book. I think we might as well do the same with the PS3 game. The first one to write, I want the game, gets the game. So that's easy, isn't it? Okay, so, oh yeah, that's too bad. Sim Trivias, he wrote me want. That's too bad. And Indian Cobran says, I want the book, and he was the first one.
Okay,
so you're getting the book, and well, Sim Trivias, you're getting a book as well. So let's see. And oh, Sim Trivias. Oh well, we're only going to let you win once. But you get the game then, because you actually wrote, I want the game. So you're getting that. We still got a book up for grabs then. So grabs to both of you. And let's see, that was Indian Cobra getting the book and Simtrifius getting the game. And we already talked about this because we are, I mean, it's crazy stuff, but we're going to do an honorable mention to Branko85 because he's in every live stream and we think that's amazing. You're also getting one game, so congrats to you.
Okay, so we're starting the game here, and this time around, Yuna, this character, has kind of taken the main character, like taken over as main character.
Oh, okay.
So there's more focus on her story.
Oh yeah, back to the game.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I was good with a bit of a, and yeah, for some
So
reason
now it's
she
disco instead of
she's
Blitzball.
kind of a pop star, I guess.
Yuna.
So save the world, become a pop star. We have another familiar character here. There's definitely an improvement here in the CG quality, I'd say, compared to the first game.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit more...
bit better lighting, and
Yeah.
they've gone overboard with soft filter.
Yeah. Definitely a very different feel in the introduction to this game. Kind of like smile at the camera, and a name comes in, and there had to almost have been some kind of motion capture going on here as well to get the movement so realistic.
It's all just saying singing, dancing, and silly outfits all the way. Oh yeah.
Pain.
And awesome names. I mean, Pain.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy going X Factor.
So here we go.
I think actually, Mr. Sweden 90, are you taking notes, Lasse? Yeah. We're going to give away the last book we've got for Mr. Sweden 90. That means we've got one PS3 game left, and we're going to hand out that game later in the stream.
Yeah, later in the stream. Save that for the end,
Yeah.
so we don't lose all of you that are just there for the game. Nah.
And if you're just there for the game,
We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll quiz you.
So this is really a different beginning to a turn-based role-playing game, I think.
We're getting a bit of
Oh, Rico is back.
judders here, I think. Like there's a bit shaky. I mean, it's not bad, but
I half expect, you know, a Dance Dance Revolution thing to come up now, but also they kind of introduced that, didn't they?
Yeah.
With the special moves in
Yeah,
the other
exactly,
game. So now it's
so now we're actually fighting on stage. Interesting. We'll fight Goon 1 here. Go ahead.
and they're doing ecstasy. Well, that's the name of the spell, isn't it?
sword play. Sorry?
Let's see. The last book was, let's see, I'm just talking to the DRTV guys. Mr. Sweden 90, who got the last book.
Combat definitely seems a bit faster this time. I also can tell in the top right corner there's active mode going on, so it seems like it's kind of gone over to the whole, there's a timer, so each character has their own timer and they'll attack depending on that timer. So it's not as turn-based as the first was. So there's a bit more of action going on. I don't know if it's something that can be changed. Oh, we still have an enemy. We're being attacked by, oh what? Are they attacking each other now? Yeah, they are.
That's, I mean, that is really X Factor now.
Yeah, you can tell that green bar fills up, showing when the person's turn is ready.
So again, a bit more active.
So yeah, for some reason Riku and Pain are fighting Yuna here.
And she stole a high potion.
Yeah. That's one of Riku's kind of special moves, is the whole idea that she can steal stuff from other characters.
I could have danced all night. Sorry, no time for an encore.
Again, it's very much a different type of character. Suddenly Yuna goes from being this quiet kind of girl to sounding kind of...
Hold still.
And now it starts to look like a Final Fantasy game again.
Yeah. But I didn't quite catch why Riku is chasing Yuna and they're trying to... and they were fighting before.
You, step aside.
Thank you.
Come again.
Still got the one-liners going.
What a shock to the audience, girl fight on stage. Is it just me, or does Riku in this game look like a female Captain Jack Sparrow?
Well, she predates Captain Jack Sparrow, so maybe he stole
That's
her
true.
look.
Yeah, yeah. But that's actually, there's something to it, yeah.
Shigun is the name of these enemies. That's interesting. We'll try a power break here. So now I use the power break and it kind of charges up, so it takes time. So that's kind of the, with this more kind of active combat, you got to think about it. It's not just you want to use this item.
And this means that this is probably the game least suited for the PS Vita, actually.
I'd see this as a, if there's no possibility of
well,
switching
if you're
it,
going to play it on the trainer boss or anything like that, where you can sort of get, you know...
and I don't know if there is, you can pause
you
the
can
game.
pause it, okay.
But otherwise, the Vita always has the possibility of going back to the home screen, which will pause it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course, I forgot. Hitting her in the back. Why is she standing like that? I mean...
Her combat stance.
Yeah, it's a Saturday Night Fever stance.
Let me just check real quick if I can access a menu somehow, if there's a possibility of switching it over to a less active. Check the config here. Yeah, see, here we go, ATB mode. We're going to try and see what it says.
Okay.
And we can also change the speed.
That's
Of
quite
it.
good, actually. Lots of options in all words, yeah.
Subtitle name, subtitles on, yeah, everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go back. Hopefully that, I'm just going to double check it saved the changes there. Yeah, it did. Sometimes in these old games, circle will just reset. So let's see how it goes now. We're getting, oh, okay, maybe we're getting a bigger fight here due to load screen. Oh no, we just entered another area.
Hey, you run too fast.
You're too slow, little girl.
Do you guys know of any mobile titles that are in the possible making from Sony? No.
Sony, no.
And not if we're talking mobile, but a strange thing has happened. I mean, they have started to do all these. I mean, they've done both Sly and Ratchet and Clank spin-offs for mobiles, and also that was going to say Lonely Island, but that's probably not the name of it. It is some island game where you actually you can play both as Cole from Infamous and
the
chick from
PlayStation
Gravity.
All-Stars
Yeah,
Island.
PlayStation All-Stars Island. Yeah, and you can play as Drake from Uncharted and stuff like that. And it's basically an endless runner with a few mini stages thrown in for good, and you can actually scan the Coke Zero cans and
and get a whole.
Get access to different stuff in the game. It's a freemium game, and I actually enjoyed it for what it was, a good endless runner with a bit of mechanics thrown in from all the different inspirations, you know, like you've got the lightning from Cole, and you've got some of the wall climbing from Uncharted and stuff like that. I think it's quite decent. It's not an amazing game. It's one of these 2 minutes play on a mobile kind of things, you know. But it's quite good.
Okay,
anyways,
just to figure it out. When we're in this mode here, now we're in active mode. They'll keep attacking and so on. But if I go into an option here, it goes into wait mode, and I have kind of time to okay, who am I gonna attack? I'm gonna pull a steel off here. Gonna attack here. And attack here. So whenever you're in a menu here, you can kind of freeze the combat, make your decision kind of based on your own time. So you're not trigger happy. That's
it's driving me nuts how she has to stand looking like that over her shoulder.
Okay. So let's just take a look here. Got steel here, trigger happy. I tried that before, and this time around, Yuna has guns, which is interesting.
But it's definitely an upgrade in the character designs.
Yeah, and also before there's a bit of cutscene, there's a lot more facial animation going on. Although it did seem almost a little Crash Bandicoot-y the way the eyes would open up, and I was also switching camera angles now. And,
I like how he's just standing there spinning.
Okay, so when I pull off that, I can actually tap R1 to shoot.
Okay.
So it's also a bit more active, so you're actually shooting the gun yourself.
Takers, keepers.
It's definitely also throwing you a lot more into the deep end. Here, there's no real tutorial of what's going on. If this was the first game I started up playing, like I would have no idea. Compared to the first one, which is really holding your hand.
Persistent, aren't you?
Ah, so we see there's a...
My grid. You give us back Uni's garment grid right now.
Didn't
an
you
imposter.
girls ever learn to share? Give it back. Very well, it's yours.
Now we've got a bit of sound, and we can definitely say that the voiceovers aren't, you know, winning any prizes.
No. It's never been kind of their big forte, these games. It's very melodramatic and very...
Oh yeah. And very B actor.
Yeah. Okay, so I can't do anything. Escape subcommands.
Is there actually an option to get the Japanese voiceovers?
Let's check. Okay, I have to just change my dress now. Dress spheres.
This is goodbye now.
Use a gun to fire from afar, 8 allies by singing. So okay, I guess this is kind of like your inventory. So if I go in here again, if I go singing instead. So now she changes her loadout to singing mode. And does she change clothes too? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, she does. So, according to Square Enix, if we play as a girl, it's all about changing clothes and
apparently
singing. So now she can do a darkness dance move. So now dancing, darkness dance, use darkness dance to inflict darkness on LeBlanc.
Is there any way you can play this on the PS4 via the Vita?
Via the Vita? No, there's no kind of a Vita to PS4 play going on. But a possibility down the line is if we're so lucky that they decide to release the Vita TV in the West.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That would actually allow you to bring the Vita game up on the TV screen.
And then use your controller.
And use a PlayStation 3 controller later on, a PS4 controller when they update that. I actually purchased the Vita TV, imported it to see if there was any use of it, and I can say don't bother importing it right now because it can only connect to the Japanese PlayStation Network, which means that you will only be able to access the Japanese store, play the games in Japanese. It'll be in English, fine, just fine. The menus can still be in English, but you want to wait until they actually come out and officially release it in the West, so hopefully, they unlock. Yeah. And it sounds like they realize that that's something that people want, so hopefully we'll see it. I mean, because it does seem like a pretty impressive piece of kit, especially when they'll update it with the remote play features of the Vita. So you could basically have a PS4 sitting in your room at home, bring the Vita TV to your summer house or wherever you're going, and hook that up and then stream your game. You don't have to bring the actual console.
Oh, but back to the mobile games, going Lynn is saying there's an official PlayStation Store app for certified phones. It's not on the Google Play Store though, it's an APK you download off the site. So now you know that if you want that.
I think we should just appreciate the fact that she starts dancing randomly. I mean, they've gone in a very different direction this time around with the whole mood of the game. Alright, so this is a post-fight screen.
Should we check for Japanese voiceovers just to see if it's there? I mean, I kind of prefer to play a lot of these role-playing games with Japanese voiceovers, basically because I think that kind of makes me accept that they are a bit cheesy. But when listening to the English ones, I always get a bit annoyed. I think...
yeah, because they sound overacted somehow.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So no Jew or mage class.
No, I can't access any menus at this point, so we'll have to wait until the cutscene's over.
See, Stardust is writing nogle danskere her. Yeah, but I would recommend you writing English in the chat because it's an international chat shared between the 9 GR sites. So yeah, keep it in English so everybody has a chance to understand what's being written here.
Yeah.
That can happen when you use the garment grid. The emotions of the person recorded in the sphere pass to the user.
The girls in Final Fantasy should have an ability of seduction and confusion.
Well, they already have dancing as a move, so why not?
We don't. I mean, yeah. Well, in this game, yeah, why not?
Dancing, Yuna. I want to see.
I want to see. What the hell?
She's kidding. What? No dance?
See, here we go. We learn a bit more, so we know the word gull wings.
Yeah.
I've completed my latest invention.
Creature creator. Use the fiend trap pods invented by Shinra to capture fiends all across Spira and train them as ally creatures. So there's a pet system here as well.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Menu. Let's go. Ooh, we got white magic, garment grids. We've got a lot more dress spheres.
Definitely.
A lot more going on here.
Let's see.
I'm not seeing any any language change, unfortunately. Which is actually surprising. You could have easily put that, and seeing as it's on Blu-ray now, it will fit on the disc.
It might be something with the ease of converting it to Vita. Maybe they decided that 3.5 gigabyte on the Vita was enough as it is.
Yeah, because the Vita
especially
is already
considering the cheap memory cards you get on that one. What's up with that, Sony?
Having fun?
You bet. It all began when I saw this sphere of you.
The designs are so over the top. I mean, it's amazing.
I couldn't say for sure. I thought I might find more spheres like it if I joined the Gullwings, so I did. Oh, in case you're wondering.
But I'm not sure if I'm too happy about the direction it's taking, because it seems like it's gone from this kind of male main character kind of serious story. It's all about this, and now it's kind of now it's about the girls, and they're all giddy, and they're all about dancing and changing clothes, and it seems
it might not be as suited to the Western taste.
Exactly. I mean, they definitely do have different tastes in Japan as well. I mean, there was also a lot of debate happening back when there was an interview with the creator of the game, the Japanese game that has been out, the Timiko game, The Last Guardian, because the creator came out and said that they would obviously not be able to make the main character a girl, because then you'd be able to see up her skirt when climbing on ladders. And this was kind of like this whole kind of, you know, is that a chauvinistic statement that a girl can only wear a skirt? I mean, is that the only way you can portray a girl? But it's like this Japanese mindset.
It is, yeah.
And it's just... Again, they haven't had the same kind of feminist movement happen in that part of the world.
That's true. I mean, come on, they even have games where you're supposed to rape all the girls. I mean, it's crazy
and there's
stuff.
also a Vita game coming out
Would
soon.
never go here.
I don't know if it's come out in Europe, called Demon Monpiece or something, where it's kind of like a card game, but the idea is you collect cards with girls on to level them up. You actually have to rub the screen, and the more clothes come off. And they actually censored, at least in the US.
Oh.
So there's 3 levels, and the final level is the least scantily clad, but and some of the cards they censored them. So they just kind of, it reverts back to clothing level 1 when you hit level 3, because it was too much for the Western audience. I mean, you can always go on the internet to... Okay, so now we also have, okay, this is the, let's try and go to the cabin, the elevator system. But yeah, there is definitely a huge difference in the way that genders are perceived in the West compared to Japan.
Do you have a favorite? Gonglin is asking here, which Final Fantasy protagonist is your favorite out of all the series? Do you have any?
I don't know if I really have any. I think probably Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I know he's not the most popular in the main community, but I wouldn't call myself a Final Fantasy super fan. I'm a casual Final Fantasy player, and I would say that being the game I had the most fun with, he's also kind of my favorite. I found Tidus in the first Final Fantasy X here to be a bit too, again, a bit too melodramatic. I guess it's because Final Fantasy VII there wasn't a lot of there was no voice dialogue either. So. Oh yeah. So you kind of imagine that they actually sound okay. Yeah, and also Lightning from Final Fantasy 13 series. She's just too grumpy. And I mean, also, there was another example of the Japanese and the way that they kind of handle female characters. There was a tweet from the creator of the Final Fantasy 13 game saying, we're so proud that we have finally managed to create a strong female character in a Final Fantasy game, being Lightning. And that's, again, like, a lot of people would say that Yuna is a pretty strong female character, and also in Final Fantasy VII there's some pretty strong female characters. But I guess, I don't know if it's a translation issue or something, but the fact that they made a grumpy character equates to them making a strong character. Like, she's not happy, that's strong. And I guess it's also kind of a thing with Japanese culture.
Definitely it is, yeah.
And again, like, that whole grumpiness kind of gets on some people, including myself, nerves. You don't need to be annoyed and angry at everything to be an interesting character or a serious character. Okay, so right now I'm just kind of running around exploring the ship, because again, I've never played this game, so I don't exactly know what my next move is supposed to be. Hopefully we'll start getting into some more of the combat. Some fun camera angle changes here. And I'm not really seeing this. Oh, actually there's 4 chests, I couldn't tell before. So Phoenix Downs is one of the items that goes through every Final Fantasy game, which is basically a revive potion if one of your party goes down. Oh, here.
Nothing?
No. The running animation's kind of strange too.
See, that just joined, I think, and he's saying, let me ask, why the hell are you playing Final Fantasy X instead of this girly shit? Well, that's what we did in the beginning of the stream. We've been streaming, we're streaming 2 hours, 1 hour from Final Fantasy X, and 1 hour from Final Fantasy X-2 or 10-2.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to watch the replay, I think, sometime tomorrow on GRTV if you missed the first hour of this show.
Okay, so I've been all around now. I'm just going to talk to these guys a bit.
I look up to her as a sphere hunter, and also as a friend. I still don't know her very well. She's not exactly the talkative type. I heard she joined the Gullwings shortly before I did. Riku doesn't know much about her either. What now?
I can very much example the grumpy characters they make. They put her in these clothes with shorter hair. And what now? Okay, so I interact with the sphere thing. Nope. I'll try and talk to him.
Has my talking gotten better?
He really has improved quite a bit.
Yeah, so you got his mouth still moving, he's not talking.
Just so that he could talk with me.
So it looks like it's actually him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're definitely getting to make it to the end of this game during this stream.
Yeah, we're finishing it. We'll be done in,
I mean, normal gamers would take about 40, 50 hours, to complete the game. But as you can see, we are so pro at this. And yeah, we've got 20 minutes left. And we should be able to complete it.
That should be more than enough.
Yeah.
We'll do this and Dark Souls 2 and then...
Exactly, Dark Souls 2, of course, yeah.
We'll finish that, no problem. Without dying.
Should we 100% GTA while we're at it?
Sure.
Just
Skyrim.
fill in the last 5 minutes. Yeah. I actually miss Skyrim. I sold my Xbox 360. I decided, well, I don't need it anymore, And now I'm having these, well, I don't really regret it, but I've also got the game for the PS3, but I can't be bothered to play Skyrim on the PS3 because I'm quite certain that at some point it will end up lagging horribly.
Yeah, they did have a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, I know they fixed some of it, but I don't think it's been fixed completely. So some kind of waiting, and I'll probably end up playing Elder Scrolls Online on the PS4 instead.
Or when PlayStation Now launches, there's an option to, if we ever see it here in Europe, you never know with Sony.
But then again, how do you think, how do you think it will run there?
Seeing how the remote play runs so smoothly on the Vita.
But that's true. But this game, it would still be based on the original code, wouldn't it? So it would still be.
Oh, you're talking about the issues.
Like,
the issues.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
And
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But
yeah,
it's one of the games I would definitely like to see updated for next gen.
Yeah.
Now since Witcher is delayed till 2015. That was a sad day when they said that. That was kind of the role-playing game I was looking forward to getting into, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Yeah,
in 2014.
I've actually missed all of them due to not having a system that could run it. It wasn't being released there, so yeah, I'm definitely also looking forward to. All right, so
now we've got locations and.
Yeah, I've started trying out this creature hunt thing.
So actually able to fast travel between locations when you have discovered them here, or?
I don't know. I think this is kind of like a side thing. It's not main story type stuff. This is like the islands where you go and get a hold of the creatures. I'm just kind of doing the tutorial now. Pod S, Pod M, and Pod L. Yeah, small, medium, large is the size of the fiend you can catch. SP can target specific species. You can carry up to 8 pods. So it's got a bit of a Pokemon feel, I guess, in that you have to go and capture creatures. So now I'm setting traps. I don't know if there's actually any proper gameplay here, or if I'm actually just doing this whole map view and placing traps, and hopefully passively I'll...
Oh, Lost Odyssey, Sigi is asking if anyone actually played that. That was also a Square Enix game, wasn't it, for the Xbox 360?
The
Lost Odyssey? I keep mixing those up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think that was quite good, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm selecting that.
100% on Superman 64. Oh yeah, that's a challenge indeed. I don't think we would do that. Then I would rather play Rambo the video game actually first. Superman 64, that was a piece of, yeah.
Okay, so I set up a trap to capture my friend, I guess. That's sort of a tutorial thing. So where we want to set the trap pod.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we captured him. I can just sit here and watch this all night. Alright, and let's keep him.
We should, yeah, let's keep it that way.
Although that dancing wants me to give him another name. Alright. So basically, yeah, your combination of creatures also has an effect. I guess, yeah, this tutorial, you were forced to go through it to kind of move along the story. And you have to nurture them, holy. So there's a whole Tamagotchi side to this as well. Oh dear. And I have to do this. I have to develop the creature.
Hey, fuck you, Siggy. I'm going to say fuck you on live stream. Lee, if you want to improve your English skill, play something other than Skyrim or take an arrow to the knee. It's actually amazing, isn't it? I actually worked as an English teacher for 3 years, but I know I sound like Elmer Fudd, and everybody's going to point it out because I don't sound like an American dude, you know, when I speak on the live stream. But that's life, you know. If I'm going to sit here and talk for 2 hours, I'm going to talk like I want to. So,
okay, there's so. Again, this is what we get for starting from scratch with a Final Fantasy game. There's a lot of content, especially this being 10.2. There's a lot of stuff that they expect you already know from 1, but they added a whole bunch more stuff.
And of course, you remember everything from the first game, since
Yeah.
it's like 10 years since you played it the last time, right?
Yeah, so this is a bit overwhelming at this point, trying to kind of follow what's going on. If you select yes here, and it does it for me. Okay, so I'm basically just teaching skills. However, creatures can only learn a maximum of 4 command abilities and 4 auto abilities. So it seems like there's a very deep creature system in this game. And I don't know if you bring these creatures with you into the fights or if there's a side kind of Pokemon style. Your creatures fight other creatures. They can unlearn skills. Unlearn it. But for anyone who's ever played a Final Fantasy game, they are aware also there is a lot of learning in the beginning before the game actually gets to start.
Always, yeah. But that's always also because they try and mix up the styles from
exactly. You can't
from game to game.
You can't blame the Final Fantasy series of being repetitive. I mean, this is not Call of Duty with the same thing over and over again. Every game has its own kind of weird system.
Now we're getting 200 guys going like, Call of Duty is not the same over and over again.
I mean, the way I see Call of Duty being the same over and over again is because it's become such a big game and competitive.
In esports, so they can't really change the ground rules.
You can't play the game of soccer, change the game of soccer much either. I mean, it's kind of how it works.
That's true.
And again, if it ain't broken, why fix it? They're still making a very successful game series, and if it's not for you, obviously it's not for you. But they're in their right to kind of keep it that way because they're actually still.
I think that's one of the reasons I actually like Titanfall.
Yeah.
Because that's a fresh franchise that they're actually able to, do fun stuff with it instead of, just being the same game with a slightly different color.
I think that's why we've probably seen Titanfall happen from the guys who used to make Call of Duty. I have a theory.
They've had a lot of ideas, and now they are actually able to do.
Yeah, I have a theory that they might have actually wanted to change the Call of Duty series to something more futuristic. They had World War II as a thing for Call of Duty, then it became modern. Maybe they really want to do futuristic, but they weren't allowed to, and that's what caused all the drama internally with them leaving, because they wanted to change it, but they weren't allowed to because investors were still seeing money from this. So yeah, sometimes a bit of drama in the games industry can be good because new companies can come up and start doing stuff like Titanfall. And at the end of the day, the gamers are the winners in that situation.
But it seems like it's really boosted as well, the Xbox One sale.
Oh yeah. No, but Titanfall is definitely. I mean, I'm not an Xbox One owner. Probably won't be. I'm more of a PlayStation guy. But I'm definitely jealous of that title, and I wouldn't mind seeing the sequel coming out on PS4, which it very well might, seeing what that's been said in interviews and so on.
That's true, yeah.
And I mean, I can definitely live with Xbox having an exclusive title that's theirs and that's their kind of series, because Sony has had so many.
Yeah, but that's
as well.
fine. It's what it needed, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like, I mean, what is it? Dead Rising is actually a pretty good game as well. But,
Yeah.
but, I mean, they wanted something that was.
Yeah, this time
huge
around,
and
actually, the Xbox
exclusive.
has had a pretty good launch when it comes to exclusives. Like this week,
We
we're
just
going
make
to
our own,
be we're going to
oh.
be seeing Infamous now coming out on PS4, and I think this is where the PS4 ball is going to start getting rolling on this.
That's true.
They've taken their time about it, but
So they're making they said, back to the game.
Yeah,
They
sorry.
said creatures are making their own decisions and moves in doing the fights.
okay. So this is kind of like a
So now
pet you
we
bring
know
along
that.
and- yeah, yeah. Because again, we could
So
sit
it's
here and read
basically
all
a
this,
buff,
but
isn't it? It's kind of, I mean,
yeah,
it's a help, but you don't. I mean, you just set it up.
yeah, and then
And-
you,
and then they will-
you get a set of skills and so
That's
on.
a nice thing. I actually like that.
But yeah, again, we could sit here and read all this, but we wouldn't be done with it until tomorrow. It seems there's a lot of text going on, so I'm just skipping through it here, and hopefully I'll manage to figure out what's going on once this.
Really? That sounds like me whenever I buy a piece of electronic or anything. I don't need
Throw
no
the
stinking
manual away,
manual.
yeah.
I mean, why doesn't this work? Piece of. Yeah, Ni no Kuni is really a good game. That's true.
Yeah,
It's
I
quite
actually
amazing.
I still haven't played that. I'm kind of looking forward to PlayStation Now coming out, so I can kind of get back into some of those PS3 games that I missed.
Yeah, but that's quite an amazing game.
I remember I wanted to buy it digitally, but it was too big of a file. It's a huge download. So
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, so see this.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Studio Ghibli, you should definitely pick up Ni no Kuni. That's true.
Okay, so complete that tutorial.
And as Brank was saying, he wasn't actually that big of a Studio Ghibli fan, but he ended up loving that game, and that's Ni no Kuni we're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that. It's beautiful and it's got a nice story, and the setting is great, and I enjoyed the combat as well in the game. And of course the soundtrack. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm back to just kind of running around seeing if anything's changed, because it seemed like the tutorial ended and then not much else happening. Let's try and talk to this blue guy again. The gold store. Okay, so buy and sell basic potions and everything, it seems like. So that's what's to be expected. Oh, sounds like something's happening.
Yeah, we're going there. Sigurd saying you guys are great. Not you guys in the chat, you assholes. Only kidding. Lean Fitch, keep playing until end of October.
Okay, so something's going on now and we have to report to the bridge.
So you see now that the chat has moved on to Zelda and yeah, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword.
Okay, so we're moving on to somewhere. Hotspot. Mission Sphere Hunt. We're getting sphere waves. Okay, so we're going down to collect spheres. So it looks like this game has much more of kind of like a hub in the ship, and you fly around to places where there's stuff going on. So it seems a bit more open, a bit less linear. It's probably going to open up even more as we've done all these tutorials.
Yeah.
Sacred Mount Gagaset, silent guardian of Xanarkand, city of the dead. When the faith disappeared, the clouds enshrouding the mountain began to thin and disperse, revealing long-forgotten ruins among its peaks. Hey, the rocks are floating.
Don't tell me we gotta climb up that thing.
No worries. I'll take you to the top.
Kind of a silly question. You're in an airship. Why would you climb?
That's true.
Okay, so am I getting control of my character here? No.
Yeah, it seemed I would definitely get annoyed with these characters in this one. I think X or Final Fantasy X was definitely more to my liking than 10-2.
And again, yeah, also 10. That was kind of where my limit goes to the melodrama and so much how I can be bothered with. This here seems a bit more. I don't know if this camera angle is kind of on purpose too. Like they like to do that in some Japanese games too.
We're paying 100% attention to the game now. Going like, oh my god. Oh, come on. He ho. But still, we already found out that the game is about half price of a normal retail game.
Yeah,
so
and then
basically, you're getting 2 games. You're getting the prologue. You're getting the epilogue. Well, even though that is, I mean, it's just basically an audiobook, but still, you're getting 2 games and lots of extra content. So.
And I mean, this game, it might just be that we're at the beginning of the game here, because I do remember it being pretty well received back when it came out.
Of course, and it being about 50 hours long. I mean, we haven't really scratched the surface. I mean, we've played it for 45 minutes or something like that. So.
Oh, and here there's actually a system where if I don't hold down a button, I'll fall down. So. So this feels a bit more like Assassin's Creed. Hold down a button and you'll climb and jump and everything.
Oh boy, look at that. Walt Disney would approve on this camera angle.
I scored an accessory. Interesting wording. Okay.
Lol. Jumping tutorial. True. Oh, I'm just going to see if the time is right. Yeah, we've got about 5-6 minutes left of this live stream.
Well,
I think actually we should probably give the last game away as well.
Yeah.
But
is there 2 left? We're being asked. No, I think we just have the one.
We've only got 1 game left. Is that what you're asking, Lasse? Yeah, we've given 2 PS3 games and 1 PS Vita game away. Which one was that? Which one have? Yeah, but we gave 1 to Branko as well. Okay. So that's the one you're missing. And I think.
So how are we going to do this?
Well, we're going to. I'm going to be annoying because someone mentioned Superman 64. So I think the first one to actually write what could kill Superman gets the game.
So a bit of nerd knowledge needed here.
Oh yeah. And of course you could say Doomsday, but that doesn't count. That's too nerdy. We're going for that other thing.
So we're starting to get into some combat here as well, which is always nice.
So last game up for grabs. What kills Superman? That's easy, isn't it?
Think this machina still works?
Green kryptonite is Indian co-brand. I'm guessing everyone is getting something today. Did you get that, Lasse?
I wonder how safe this is.
Oh, yeah. Well, did he win the game? Yeah, he's getting the game.
All right, so
then we
congratulations.
are done with that. I mean, we've only got, and I keep looking at my wrist even though I'm not wearing a watch. That's so crazy.
I love doing that too. Yeah.
So we've got like 3 minutes left of the live stream, so that's fine.
Things are, disasterific.
Disasterific, yeah.
And Going Lin is saying Batman. Yeah.
Which is technically true.
That's true. Exactly, yeah.
Batman does beat Superman in one of the universes because Batman, being the smart guy that he is always prepared for everything. So he's actually got a ring with kryptonite. So he's ready to, in case Superman ever goes.
But then, technically, I mean, it was kryptonite killing Superman.
That is true.
When we're going to be super nerdy.
But it seems to be the consensus in the DC universe, at least Batman can beat everything because he's smart.
Yeah.
So brains beats everything. Okay, so...
Son Goku.
Oh, fight. Seems my dancing moves hurts all the enemies as well, so that's a good one.
Ready? You betcha.
And in true Final Fantasy style, we've got one of these.
And of course, I mean, I'm not surprised that someone actually says Chuck Norris. I mean, of course, yeah. Lasse, how are we on time actually? Okay. And if you just joined, that's a bit stupid, but if you did, I'm sorry. Also for calling stupid. We've got 2 minutes left, and today we've been playing Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 HD Remastered on the PS3, and it's out this week on PS Vita and PS3. And during this week, we're going to do, of course, Friday nights, we're going to play Infamous. Second Son, we're going to be playing GTA 5 online. And there was another game, wasn't there, Lasse? Oh yeah, tomorrow we're taking a look at different MOBAs, also a new MOBA, which I unfortunately can't remember the name of, but you'll see tomorrow, and it's between 1600 and 1800 Central European time, and you can always watch the replays on GRTV. And I actually think that's about it.
Perfect timing too with a little win here.
Woo, you got a win. I think that's it, and thank you for being very active in the chat, and thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow again. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.